Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk. Back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Let's Talk Arsenal series, our twice a weekly show on a Tuesday and a Friday, in which I sit down and have a chat with you guys in the chat box to talk about the latest Arsenal news, occurrences, typically at 5 o'clock, but today it's had to be a little bit of an earlier show, considering the fact that Arsenal are playing tonight at 6, which is an incredibly early Tuesday kickoff, and the fact I'm going to be joining Hugh once again on Hugh Wizzy's channel to do the watch along. So that's going to be fun. So that's the reason why it's slightly earlier today. So apologies if you usually tune in at 5 o'clock and you've missed it for that reason, but it will typically be still at 5 o'clock. But with these Tuesday kickoffs, there might be a little bit of a change at the moment. So bear with, tune in and turn those notifications on and follow us on Twitter, because I always like to give you at least a half an hour or so warning to let you know that we're going to be doing these. Can't always do that, but I try my hardest to give you notice. So let's talk about today's news, which is very Spanish. There's two big key Spanish stories coming out today. One is hilariously untrue but has sparked quite a bit of debate, and the other one is an interesting transfer link, and we're going to start with the latter, and that is regarding Jordan, which is the Spanish central midfielder at Sevilla, who is a very, very interesting player that I'm really kind of pleased that we're linked to. Kind of similar to how Drew was very pleased we were linked to Julian Brandt. I'm very pleased that we're linked to Joan Jordan as a player. So we're going to talk about him. If you would like to get a really kind of in-depth look at Jordan, then today on 101 I released or published an article talking about the Spaniard. I'm going to cover a little bit of what goes into it, but in the article, obviously, I cover the link specifically, obviously talking about the players that are central part of the midfield has kind of been lacking ever since we've moved on from the likes of Cazorla and Ramsey, etc. But I spoke to Adam Fihili, who is a Spanish football writer working across lots of different outlets like Football España and La Liga Lowdown, so he's well in the know regarding everything regarding La Liga, even more than me, which takes some doing, but Adam is definitely the guy to go to regarding a lot of Spanish football. So getting his insight, I mean, as you can see, all the bold writing there, lots of insight in the article about Jordan. I'm going to talk you through the last bit, which I want to kind of cover on the show, but make sure you click the link in the description and give the article a full read to find out everything about Jordan. But let's read through the last bit, and then I'm going to get your thoughts in the chat box as well, and then we're going to talk about Diego Costa and the hilarity of the link, which I know is completely false, but it's quite interesting to see kind of the debate that it sparked about the player on Arsenal Twitter. So let's talk about the insight. Let me zoom in so you can see it a bit better, and then we'll read through it. So, Jordan is an intelligent player with a prodigious work rate and underrated technical ability. Able to showcase his passing range more now that Banega, who dominated the ball, is gone. The 26-year-old has proven to be more than a reliable box-to-box player. What would be most valuable to Arsenal is his grit, tenacity and ambition. Jordan plays with a serious competitive edge and has made a point of exceeding expectations throughout his career. Next on the horizon for him is to play in a team challenging for major honours and break into the Spanish national team. Given his trajectory thus far, I'd be slow to doubt him. So there you go. It's an interesting, obviously there's a lot more in the actual piece if you want to go and read it. But it's interesting to kind of look at Jordan as a player and Arsenal, because he pretty much epitomises everything that I'm kind of thinking that Arteta wants in his players. Someone that is going to give 110%, 100% of the time, and fully kind of commit to every single game that he plays in, striving to continually succeed. He's got an Olivier Giroud style career where he's definitely been more of a late bloomer. He's now 26, which is a completely fine age for Arsenal to be looking at bringing in a player. You should be looking no higher than that sort of age, unless these players are of the level of Thomas Partey. But Jordan is kind of in and around. He's not as good as I would say as Thomas Partey, but he's someone who would play next to him and really complement the Ghanaian midfielder excellently well. And I just think when you look at his ability, what he does on the ball, his passing, his kind of movement on the pitch, the way he covers in both the final third and the defensive third of the pitch, he could be an excellent partner to kind of add to Thomas Partey should they both be fit. And you've all of a sudden got a really good pairing. Like, we're thinking about the players that we've got at the club with Granit Xhaka, Ceballos and El Neni. And at the moment, with Partey being out, we're kind of chopping and changing between those three, and it's just not a quality midfield. But all of a sudden, Arsenal with a Joan Jordan midfield alongside Thomas Partey is a very, very different outlook on the team just by making that additional signing. So very interesting to see those two linked. I want to get your thoughts. This is called the Let's Talk Arsenal show. Of course, it's all about getting your thoughts in the group chat and in the side chat. So let's see what you guys are saying. Christopher Fung says Jordan looks like a faster Ceballos who is better at set pieces. He's better than Ceballos in a lot of other aspects as well. Iron Cub says I really liked Joan Jordan before he went to Sevilla. Of course, he was at Eibar beforehand, but I haven't followed him since. Whatever you liked about him at Eibar, Iron Cub, he's better and has grown in that position. Rakitic coming back to Sevilla was thought about as kind of a player that was going to take that midfield again further, returning to Sevilla after going back to, or rather going to Barcelona. He has now taken on the role of being more of a leader in that midfield, has Jordan, and it looks to be the better player, certainly than Rakitic has been for them. How you doing, Just That Chemical X? Nice to have you in the chat as always, son. Tyrese was saying, I was just about to say that, Christopher, regarding Jordan. Could be a replacement for Ceballos/Guendouzi. Doesn't seem like a creative force that can play cam and wing. No, he's not. He's not the type of player that would be playing in the creative number 10. He's the type of player that would play alongside Thomas Partey, which is a position that Arsenal need to invest in. El Neni has 1 year left on his deal. Ceballos, of course, is leaving at the end of the season when his loan completes. And I think Arsenal are kind of looking at Granit Xhaka, fingers crossed, as a player that they could earn some money from in the summer window. All of a sudden, that's 3 centre midfielders that could be moving on from Arsenal, and you're very, very light in that area. So I expect Arsenal will pursue a player in the coming either winter or summer window in that position to add to what we've already got. So I feel like that it's not a surprise to see us linked to someone in the central part of the midfield. Tyree says, been waiting for this time. Good to see that you're well. Thank you, mate. I hope you are well too, son. Matt Thornton says, afternoon. Hope you're well, mate. Good stuff. Freddie McNay, afternoon. Have you seen what the bell said about Diego Costa? Yes, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Jason says, pissing me off royally thinking what Arteta, Edu and Vinay is up to. Need to be sacked. Costa is past his prime and injury prone. When Conte binned him 3 years ago, Wenger as usual failed to buy him. I mean, don't panic and don't use Diego Costa as a thought process around Arteta because it's a load of rubbish, so you don't need to worry about it. James S says, we're getting Eriksen and Costa in January. Are you ready? Machiavelli says, he is just another Ceballos but can make long passes. That is so untrue. He's not nothing like Ceballos. He's a lot better than Ceballos, that is for sure. Just because he's a Spaniard as well doesn't mean all of a sudden he's the same as Ceballos whatsoever. Freddie says, would this be a creative outlet or someone to partner Partey? We kind of covered that. He's someone that would go next to Partey. Machiavelli says, wouldn't Jordan be Europa League tired since he's played in the Champions League? No, because that rule has now changed. When we signed Aubameyang, who of course was in the Champions League, that then dropped down to the Champions League with Dortmund, we couldn't play him. That rule has now changed, hence why Bruno Fernandes was playing in the Europa League for Manchester United last season. So that rule is no longer in place. Christopher Fung says, Tom, would you take Basuma or Jordan? Oh, that's tough. I'd lean towards Basuma purely because I want us to see us assign more Premier League proven players. So I'd lean towards Basuma. But if we ended up with Jordan, I would not be concerned. I would not be disappointed in not getting Basuma if we ended up with Jordan. But I would prefer the Brighton midfielder for sure. Anthony says, the type of players we are being linked to is something to be encouraged about, whether or not it actually happens. I agree. I think seeing us linked to the likes of Julian Brand and Jordan are really good signs. They're really, really good signs. And I much appreciate the fact that that's going on these days. Matthew Hudson says, hola, why are people so obsessed with the number 10? Modern football is about being fast and direct, and we saw that with the youngsters. This is the way. Belijah says, hey, Tom, Brandt or Eriksen? Eriksen's going nowhere near my club. It's a silly idea to sign Eriksen, considering what Arsenal is right now. Brandt all the way. Matt Thornton says, Tom, would you look at Souček, who, of course, joined West Ham from Slavia Prague and has done very well since signing for the Hammers? Would I? It would depend on the fee, and it would depend on if it was a case of him for, say, 20 to 30 million pounds. I think he's a really good player. I like him a lot. I don't think the Arsenal fan base would be too happy with that signing because it's a classic turn your nose up at it type of signing. So I mean, it's a good one. I like it a lot. I like Souček as a profile, but I don't see him being sold to Arsenal. I don't see him leaving West Ham in the near future. Speaking of which, Slavia Prague is not a bad place, the Czech league, to look for some talent. You've got at Sparta Prague, you've got Hložek, Adam Hložek, young Czech Republic international, youth international at the moment, wide player, really exciting young player. But Slavia Prague themselves, not Sparta, have a lot of really exciting players that is interesting to look at as a market. And West Ham have done well to get both Souček and Kufal into their team, and it has definitely improved them. Lewis says, I like the profile of Costa as a bully striker. Gives us a plan B. But which player do you think fits better than Costa, age-wise and value-wise? Lewis, thank you for taking us on to the next part of the show. Now, not only on 101 today did I do the piece on Joan Jordan, but I also did a piece on good old Diego Costa. He's an interesting guy. He's an interesting player, and certainly one that's caused a lot of chaos over the last few seasons or more for both Chelsea and Atletico Madrid. We should categorically go absolutely nowhere near Diego Costa. Now, what I will say right now is that the links to Costa are very, very, very questionable and highly likely to be untrue. So don't panic about this link. If you are very much, like I am, averse to the signing of Diego Costa, do not panic, people. We are not going to be signing him. I'm willing to put myself on the line and say we're not going to be signing Diego Costa. I just don't see it happening. I don't understand why on earth Arsenal would do it. And there's a number of reasons as to why we wouldn't go for Diego Costa and why we shouldn't go for Diego Costa. And if you are a person who believes that it would be a good idea to sign, then feel free to listen to the following points and hopefully your mind might be changed. First of all, let's talk about him as a player. Let's talk about his form. Let's talk about his injury record. Recently, he was diagnosed with a deep vein thrombosis, which is effectively a blood clot in his leg. It is something that was solved and he recovered from in about 3 weeks, but it's not something which you would say that is never going to happen again. He has faced minor muscular issues for over the course of his career, which has seen him miss quite a few games over the time at both Chelsea and Atletico Madrid. He missed 6 consecutive games towards the end of October, start of November with a muscle injury, and he's 32 years old, so these things are only going to probably become more frequent as his career continues. And then his actual form. He scored less than 20 goals in over 80 games for Atletico in all competitions since returning. In fact, I'll give you the specific statistic of how many goals he scored in La Liga. He scored 12 goals in 61 La Liga appearances since returning from Chelsea. This is not a striker that is prolific anymore. He's not a striker that is going to score a consistent amount of goals, even if he was starting week in, week out. He is not someone, based on form, based on injury records, that Arsenal should be looking to sign whatsoever. The next thing is to talk about the finances that would go with this free deal. Now, I think we've learned from the Willian situation that there is no such thing as a free transfer. Free transfers involve plenty of things involving signing on fees, intermediaries, and of course the wages that go on top of them. Diego Costa is earning around €8 million per year at Atletico Madrid, according to Marca. And if you break that down into kind of English money and weekly wages, you're looking at, if we were to match that, around £130,000 per week, which for a player that's 32, it's a lot less than what Willian is on, a lot less, but still, when we've already paid the amount of money we have to get Willian in, for me, makes no sense whatsoever. He's also represented by Jorge Jesus, who many people will know as a massive super agent, and is known for getting pretty good deals for both his clients and himself financially, and so therefore any signing on fee or any fee through intermediaries would be substantial on top of any signing on fee, any wages whatsoever. This deal for a player that is 32 years of age, who we should not be targeted, makes no sense. It also, if you're thinking, if you're following Balogun, for instance, at the club, who's trying to work out what you're going to do with your future. The club want to sign you onto a new deal, and you're thinking, how am I getting into the first team? What do Arsenal go and do? They go and sign a 32-year-old experienced striker on a 1, 2, 3-year deal. Either of those is a possibility. And you're thinking, okay, if you actually are putting faith in me, why are you going out and signing a Diego Costa who's effectively past it when you could be putting some more faith in me as a player? It makes no sense. The only argument that I've seen come forward to sign him is that Arsenal need a type of player like Diego Costa. Now, don't get me wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure people are pretty fed up with Granit Xhaka as a player. Now, Granit Xhaka has received untold amount of red cards. He's someone that is very arrogant, that doesn't really care what people think of him. Are we seeing any similarities between my description of Granit Xhaka there and Diego Costa? If you want a character of Diego Costa at your club and yet are complaining about how Granit Xhaka acts as a footballer, there's a level of hypocrisy there, it's fair to say. I don't think Arsenal need a character of Diego Costa. I think Arsenal need a character that are determined and fight like Gabriel Martinelli. And Diego Costa is not the only person that will give you a tenacious attitude. The guy that we've talked about already, Joan, is a player in Spain that has shown time after time to be a very committed and tenacious player on the football pitch. There are players out there, likes of Gabriel Martinelli, that we have identified in the past through scouting that we can find again. And we don't need to go out and sign the atypical bit of a bastard type player that Diego Costa is. It's just a silly one that I don't see why on earth we would do it. So there's my thoughts on Diego Costa in whole. It makes no sense. As I said at the start, I don't really see why it would be real. And as you've seen from the AFC Bell account anyway, it looks like it's a bit of a joke link. But I just wanted to cover it and talk about it because I saw a lot of people suddenly jumping up and going, oh my God, we've got to go and sign Diego Costa. So I hope that gives you a little bit of insight. But let's get some of your thoughts and comments. Sim says Isco news just came out. What is this Isco news that I've missed somehow? Mark Man Byrams, who is a writer, a sports journalist for the Press Association, says Arsenal's interest in Isco is genuine. Would be a half-season loan, but very early stages and depends on several factors. Madrid would have to pay a percentage of his wages, and even then, it would be dependent on Arsenal shifting at least one player out first, but they are keen. Okay, let's talk about Isco for a second. Let me just preview this. If Isco is coming in on a 6-month loan deal, and we are signing on top of that another player, I'm fine with that. Maybe even not signing another player, I'm fine with it. As long as it is a loan deal. If this is a permanent signing for Arsenal, this deal makes absolutely no sense for Arsenal to do. To be honest, I kind of looked at this window and thought, the priority for Arsenal this summer has to be us moving out Deadwood. Moving out players as quickly as possible, getting out the infectious lot in the bunch and really getting as far away from them as feasibly possible. If it meant that we signed 1 or 2 players on top of that, then maybe we can go and get them. But if you told me that Arsenal were moving on 5, 6 Deadwood players this January, but they weren't bringing anyone in, and Emile Smith-Rowe was going to be kind of given the impetus for the rest of the season, I'd be okay with that because I think we've got enough to get to an okay place in the league this season, and then in the summer window, we wouldn't have spent necessarily anything in January, and we could focus our thoughts on bringing players in a summer, which again, more players will be leaving, and so we can go for a little bit of a rebuild. January for me is all about us getting rid of players that we do not need at the club. If it means also bringing in an Isco on loan for 6 months, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that as a 6-month loan deal. The same as what I would have been as an okay with a Christian Eriksen 6-month loan deal. But a permanent signing for either of those players would be silly, would be really silly, considering they're both 28 years of age, they're both declining over the last year of their football and have not improved or shown that they should be starting for their relevant clubs, and they would cost a lot to sign as they are currently under contract and have significant wages at both of their clubs. If we are getting them on a 6-month deal whereby the wages are being part subsidised by the club, which seemingly, according to Mark Man Byrons is saying that, or Brian, sorry, is saying that it's going to be subsidised. I'm okay with that. So for me, that's fine. But I'd love to get your thoughts. David says, not feeling Isco. So let me just clarify this in the chat. Let me know with a simple yes or no answer to Isco on a 6-month loan deal. Just that on its own. We'll talk about kind of the further part towards the end of the show. But yes or no, Isco, 6-month loan in which we can then obviously look to the summer and think, okay, he's gone now. We got a little bit of creativity from him. Now we can focus on a more of a long-term target in the summer. What do you think about the idea of a 6-month loan deal? Let me know in the chat box. Sam says yes. Tebow says yes. Matt Greek says no. Juan says would be Arsenal, silly type of signing. Owen says yes. James says yes. Mark says dunno. It's fair enough. Chris says yes to an Isco loan deal. Matt says yes. Ryan says no. Marcin says yes. Ben says no. Unath, yes. We're getting. I'm not going to sell your names now. It's chaos. Getting a no. Lots of no's, to be fair, which is fine. No. Says Mr. Joe Kerr. As a 6-month loan, Glenn would take it as a yes. Pancake Man says yes if someone else comes in as well. Matt says no, give the role to Emil Smith-Rowe. No Sleep 09 says, can you imagine Louise and Willian sabotaging Arsenal and we're paying them for it? Yeah, that's a discussion for another day. So in sense, it's quite a lot of a mixed bunch. I think if we were to do a poll, which, you know what, let's do a poll. Let's throw one up on the old Twitter. Would you take Isco on a 6-month wage let's do this again. Part subsidised. Is that spelt right? Yes, it is. Loan deal with the view of a younger profiled signing in the summer. Question mark. Choice 1, yes. Choice 2, no. Length of poll, let's go for 30 minutes or 20. Let's go for 10 minutes. Let's just see how much we can get in 10 minutes. So if you want to head over to the Twitter at the Gooner Talk TV, and we are going to put that poll up for 10 minutes. Let's see what people say. If you could give it a retweet as well. That poll should be up. Let's get it up on the screen so you guys can see it. Chrome, Twitter, share. There we go. So there's the poll. Up on Twitter, would you take Isco on a 6-month part subsidised loan deal with the view of a younger profiled signing in the summer? There you go. I can't do the poll on YouTube, unfortunately, because I don't have the access to do it whilst on StreamYard. Sorry, Juan. Sam Trester says the Brazilian side show Bob's need to leave. The Chelsea double agents have been outed. Christopher Fung says yes, because it helps ensure Emil Smith-Rowe's game time and he can still help as a sub to break down teams if we need a goal. Willie Van Gooner says, why don't we turn to Nikolai Moller? There's a very easy answer to that, Willie, because effectively he's not ready yet. He's 18 years old. He's come from Malmo in Sweden, not playing too much first team football. And for that reason, it would just be a little bit silly to put the pressure on him right now. I think he's fine with the youth team. Bed him in, get him playing regular minutes, get him developing and playing as much as possible. We don't need to put any pressure on that guy at the moment. Anthony Michael says, Toms Rosicki is sporting director at Sparta Prague. Holojek is club. A Saliba type deal maybe? Possibly. Who knows at this stage. Ryan Butler reckons that Isco is going to go to Sevilla. Visca says Costa can improve discipline at Arsenal's squad. Divyun says, shouldn't we be going for a Buendia type given our non-homegrown player situation? We could do, but it also depends on how many people are going to leave. Supposedly there's rumours of a possible high-profile departure. Don't know on a name, but apparently that is a thing, that there's going to be a surprise high-profile departure in January. Isco's move to Sevilla was supposedly blocked. They don't typically like doing too much business, the Madrid clubs, with Sevilla. I'm not sure why, in terms of them going like a prime player going in that direction. I'm not really sure why. Maybe it's because a club like Sevilla is very close to the level, is getting closer to the level of Real Madrid, and does challenge for top 4 places, and maybe by strengthening them, it's kind of harshing their kind of title bid in a way, Champions League bid. So, but they don't typically like doing too much business from my memory. Chemical X says, just a quick one, Tom. How are we identifying our transfer targets? These purely stat DNA? I don't think we have a scouting department anymore. There is a lot to do with stats being used in this. What I would say is that we recently removed Jason Rosenfeld, I believe his name was, who was the guy that basically brought in Stat DNA. He's gone from Arsenal now. I don't know how much Stat DNA is still being used by the club. We obviously acquired that system. We bought it, the company. So I don't know how it's being used. I don't know how the scouting department's changed. Like, after we've got rid of so many. I don't know where the main recruitment is coming from or how we're doing it, whether it's contacts, whether there are still many scouts at the club that are being used, or whether we're doing a purely stat-driven kind of system. What I do know is that we've always at Arsenal, even during the Arsene Wenger tenure, right back to the early noughties, used statistics to recruit players. Even when we were kind of ahead of the curve in bringing in some of those young French talents, we used statistics a lot as well. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of the way that Arsenal do it, but I don't expect it to be necessarily revealed how Arsenal are going about their recruitment process. That is for sure. Sam says, I saw your pinned tweet. She said yes, and my first thought was to the Isco poll. Thanks, Sam. No Sleep says, do you think if we shipped out Nketiah on loan and promised the minutes to Balogun, he would stay? Maybe. I think if you gave assurances to Balogun and evidenced that with selections, he would stay. But I don't think Arsenal are doing that. I don't think Arsenal are giving Balogun the assurances that he's going to be playing in the short term. Afternoon, Dave. Good to have in the chat, mate. Tulip says Isco should be 4th or 5th choice. If we won't be able to sign Buendia or Brandt or Jordan, then only go for him after those. I wouldn't put Jordan in that bracket, Tulip. Jordan's more of your number 8 style player, not your number 10. So it's for me. I would take Isco for the 6 months for the rest of the season if it meant that we were going to be obviously shipping players out in January, maybe signing someone else on top of him as well in January, and then going for someone else more permanently in the summer. We have got a good relationship with Real Madrid. That links back to the Ceballos deal that we obviously got him on loan for 2 years running now, so that's no issue between the clubs. Arsenal and Real Madrid are notoriously quite good at communicating with each other, so that's not a problem between the clubs. It's a deal that could happen for sure, and it's something that I'm sure the club are looking at. What I would say is just because Mark Bryans has said that we are interested and it is a credible kind of link between Isco and Arsenal, it will be one amongst plenty of other things that the club are discussing. The club are looking at loads of different targets, lots of different options, lots of plan A, B, C, D, E, etc. It is not to say that Isco is our priority target. This is purely to say that Arsenal are interested in him, and it's something that the club would be looking at possibly doing. Let's have a look at how the poll's getting on. 131 votes so far with 5 minutes left, and it's pretty close. 56.9% of you guys are saying that you would take him. 43.1% are going with a no. That's really interesting to see how kind of a different perspective there is on that one. Juan says, is there any perfect partner for Partey that we need to sign? Honestly, I look at Joan Jordan and look at him as someone that would be a really good partner for Partey. It's just my view and my opinion, but I genuinely believe that Jordan would be a really good kind of, he brings that same energy. They both have really good transition. They both have good defensive work rates and good kind of work ethic in general. I think it would be a really good match to put them together. Again, just me. Arsenal Small Talk says, hi there. Hi there, you all. Everyone confident about tonight? Confidence is something lacking in the Arsenal fan base, but I'm looking forward to it. I would say, well, there's over 300 of you listening. I will be on again tonight with Hugh Wizzy doing the watch along, so that's going to be a lot of fun. It was last time, and hopefully we can get a win. To be fair, I don't blame him because I do a watch along and we win. So the omen is with us. So fingers crossed we can carry on and pick up a win this evening. I've already done a preview for the Brighton game earlier on today, so if you've not watched the preview for the Brighton game, make sure you scroll back in the videos and you'll be able to find it. Michael says, in my opinion, Goretzka would be perfect partner for Partey. Now, Michael, in my opinion, Kylian Mbappe would be the perfect signing for Arsenal to make, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen. So I take your point, but my point about Joan Jordan is someone that's realistic. Goretzka is never being sold by Bayern Munich. I wish we'd have got him from Schalke when we could have done. We were linked to him, but ultimately ended up at Bayern. He's one of the best, if not maybe the best in his position in the world right now. He is an unbelievably good player. Unbelievably so. Visca says, Mopé is a cheat, and I hope he gets relegated. Kitchener says, have we learned nothing from our past signing of older, out-of-form players unwanted by their own clubs? He's good at PES and FIFA. Yeah, there you go. Peace Tembo says, Tom, do you think that the Ricky Pudge to Arsenal links are genuine or just papers? I think that I trust The Athletic, and I trust James McNicholas and Art DeRoche's links, and I trust their knowledge and information that we have scouted him. We haven't gone in with a bid. We've not inquired about buying him, but we have scouted him. That is what is true. What is not true is to say that we are imminently about to bid for him. That is completely far off the mark. Arsenal are not going to bid for him at this point in time, but we have certainly scouted Ricky Puig. That is the information that is guaranteed and spot on. Thibaut Pes says, I'd have Benzema. He says, no. No, thank you. Great player, 33 years old. Keep him at Bayern Madrid. Iron Cub says, the most annoying part about what Mark said is that we're at the early stages of it. I'd like to think we're close to getting our creative midfielders considering the window opens in 2 days. Iron Cub, you're spot on, mate. What I would say is that there is a possible lag to that time. You've got to think that the speed at which things happen at the club and then get fed to the media, there will be a lag time. So take that into account. But I think you raise a good point. I was hoping that the club would be a lot further kind of ahead with things. But we've heard from Arteta that the plan for January is done. The plan for the summer is done. So the club are ready and know what they want to do. It's now all about getting that plan done and finished and completed. Enrico says, I like the look of the RZ Alkmaar player. Is that Coop Miners? Is that who you're talking about? He's more of a kind of a deeper player than both Jordan and Isco, but maybe you're talking about someone else. Unnath says, if Buendia is available for 15 minutes, then it's a no. Dean Wheeler says, don't forget to get down on one knee again. Just what? Cover all the base. Don't talk about that on my channel. I don't need that. If players are going down onto one knee, fair play to them. They're doing it for a good cause and a good reason, and it should be respected. That's all I have to say on the knee situation. Keep doing it for as long as it needs to be done, and by that I mean until racism is gone from the game, which I don't really see happening anytime soon, which is a horrible and crying shame. But the knee needs to be taken in every single game, and it needs to be done going forwards. So if you want to criticise that, you're in the wrong place, mate. Ronaldo says, I prefer to buy younger players and allow them to develop. You prefer? Who are you coaching, Ronaldo? Or just develop our own? I'm tired of being bantered by other clubs when they give us their second-hand goods. I agree. It's something that we need to stop doing, 100%. Is he talking... Hold on. Have I misread that completely? I'm so sorry, D. Oh my God. Oh, that's so funny. I'm so sorry, D. I've been so triggered by people criticising people taking the knee before games. Oh my God, that's so funny. So sorry, dude. Oh, dearie me. Oh God, I'm so sorry. To be fair, what a good thing to be like. What a good. Don't apologise, Dean. This is all me, son. This is all me. I've seen so much criticism recently of players taking the knee still that I was really quite passionate about the topic. So sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, I can't do that twice, but, maybe because I've done it now, it's like a long-term thing. Now I've got down on the knee once, it kind of covers us for the rest of my lifetime. After I'm gone, I'm not responsible for that. But yeah, I loved how everyone in the chat understood what he was talking about. That's hilarious. Oh, dearie me. Absolutely mad. Ed says Dean was nearly in the mud. Oh, dearie me. That was absolutely hilarious. Fair play. Ryan Butler says, thought we had a Millwall fan in here for a minute. Yeah. Let's just say, not all Millwall fans, but yeah, some of them. Just Dad Chemical X says, it's okay, Tom. We are all on the edge today. Mope anniversary. We did have a like on the video for that hilarity. Jesus. As I said already. Is the poll finished now? It must be finished. Surely, yeah. 233 people have voted. 54.5% says yes, they would take Isco on a 6-month part-subsidised loan deal with the view of a younger profiled signing in the summer. And 45.5% of you have said no, you wouldn't take him. So that's interesting to see kind of the split. It's very close. It's very, very close. So if that actually happens, it's going to be very split on the fan base. That is for sure. Some of you have had a mare. I have. An absolute mare. Satya Bharat says, how do you rate Basuma? I feel like he's a Premier League dark horse. So underrated. I'll tell you how I rate Basuma very, very simply just by sending you this link, which you should all check out. I hope it's the right link. There you go. There's my article on the reasons why Arsenal should sign Yves Basuma in the summer. So feel free to check that out. Is Isco coming? Says, I'm Ara. I have no idea. I genuinely, I'll chase it up. I'll text some people, but whether or not they'll know is beyond me. So speaking of knowing things, I did do an exclusive piece on Saliba the other day, which received a little bit of criticism, which I was expecting. But if you want to find out that information that I was talking about regarding Saliba, then have a look on 101 Great Goals for my exclusive piece on William Saliba's situation. BX Gunner. Oh, God, I'm not reading that out. Thapello says, Tom, what do you think of Mo Ihatalen and Noni Madueke from PSV? I don't know much about Madueke at all, if anything. Ihataren I know is very highly rated as a young guy, but he's kind of yet to really do anything on the big stage regarding like output. I don't think he's got many, if any, assists, actually. I mean, I can check it, but I was looking into him the other day and I'm pretty sure he doesn't have any assists this season. He has 2 goals and no assists. So in terms of like a creative attacking midfielder, the output is not there yet. And when you've got players like Marlon ahead of you that are good, like maybe you should be getting a few more assists. Or maybe I'm being too shallow. But he's very highly rated, but he's not giving the output at the moment that I would be willing to kind of jump on that. It's not like a Szoboszlai situation whereby at a young age you are putting the output in your league. And in the Eredivisie, who knows at this stage. We're going to go for about 8 more minutes till about past. Iron Cub says there's rumours that Partey is in the squad. If Partey is in the squad, that is a joke. There's no way we would hear about Partey being in the squad without the bell telling us. I don't buy that for a second. He's back in training, but I'm sure that can't be. If it's true, there'll be part of me. I'll tell you what. There'll be part of me that's a little bit irritated. Maybe I shouldn't be irritated, but there's a part of me that goes, he's only just back in training. We saw what happened when we rushed him back last time. Really, should we? AFC. Oh, is it that account? Hold on. If it's that account, then I don't trust it. AFC, AF, Hamden. I don't see any tweets from that account unless I'm looking at the wrong one. And at ACL_soccer. Thank you, Iron Cub, by the way, for sending me these. 5,000 followers. Ooh. Partey makes the squad. No Reece Nelson in the squad. No Saliba in the squad. If it's true, I'll be concerned, to be honest. Let me know your thoughts on that, because we need this guy for the rest of the season. There is no point rushing him back unless we are 100% sure. And there's just something about the fact he's been in training for a day or 2, and there's already discussions about maybe he's going to be in the squad. It would concern me. It would concern me, and it would make me think they've not learned their lesson from last time. But we're going to have to wait and see. LeGrove retweeted it. Wow, well, if LeGrove retweeted it, it must be true. Yeah, okay. Well, if he's in the squad, I just don't know what to think about that. Tulip says, even if he's fit, I don't want him to play. Can't risk rushing him back. Young Gunner says, DePaul is a super underrated player. Udinese would cost a fair chunk of money, but so would anyone that's of top quality. Madueke is a former Spurs player, and he is doing really well at the moment. Plays on the right-hand side. Okay, I'll have to look into him, but I don't know much about him at all. David Blashik says, I wouldn't play him today. P. Trim says, Partey should not be there. Arsenal Small Twit says, unlikely. Sounds desperate if true. Imara says, is Isco coming? Answer, please. I don't know. I don't know. Like, we're linked to him, and there's apparently credible interest, which I'm not surprised, but I don't know if actually we're going to sign him or not. So don't have any concrete information on that, I'm afraid. Ed Welch says, yes, don't want him having another muscular injury. Arteta needs to think about this in the long term. Minimum, if he is in the squad, shouldn't be starting on the bench. Give him some minutes at the end of the game if we need him or we can play him, but should not be rushed back and starting at all. Jeffrey says, if he's on the bench and can play 20 minutes at the end of the match for some minutes, what's the harm? That's what I'm saying. That I don't mind that as much, but if he's starting, that is the problem. Ryan, certainly not me, mate. Iron Cub says, Tom, Martinelli isn't in the current Europa League squad, but he surely has to be for the knockout stage. Yeah, of course he will. He wasn't put in the Europa League squad because he was injured, so you don't need to worry about that. He will be in the squad. Gerald says, Pedro Neto is a shout if Pepe is not the answer. Yeah. Thoughts on Chukwueze? Interesting you should say thoughts on Chukwueze. I mean, because just by sending you a quick link, you could check out a massive in-depth profile from myself and John Driscoll on Chukwueze, so feel free to do that. Martin Taylor says, what about Elise? If Arsenal can get Elise, you do it. It's just, like, if Arsenal can get one of the most highly rated young players in England right now, you go get him. I don't think they can. I think he'll go somewhere else. I think he'll be able to offer a more lucrative deal somewhere else. But if Arsenal can do it, you do it. It's as simple as that. Kitchen says, is Mope still making more than Guendouzi? I don't know. Free Arsenal says, don't waste money on this Joan guy, just another Ceballos. I mean, what is that based on? Like, what is that based on? You've probably never watched him. You probably never know anything about him. Go actually do some research on the guy. Adit says, Joan Jordan is more refined than Ceballos. Would Defo prefer him to Emi Buendia? I mean, they're different players. I don't think it's a case of you buy Joan Jordan over a Buendia. You buy Joan Jordan and you buy Buendia because they're two different positions on the pitch. JL says, what about Ramsey? No, ship has sailed, mate. It's gone. Moving on. Over it. Done. Finished. 8 million clause. Apparently... But again, that makes it trickier because you've got then a lot of competition for his signing. Mamadou says, Tom, have you had a look at Reading's Michael Lees? Yeah, we just talked about it. I know this is on delay, obviously, but yeah, he is someone that I definitely would be looking at. Chaos says, thoughts on Simeone's comments on Kieran Trippier's suspension? I've not seen Diego Simeone's comments on Trippier's suspension. Let me just have a quick look. It apparently is unfair on Atletico Madrid, says AS. We think it's unfair and we hope it can be revised because of the damage done to Atletico, he says. Atletico obviously have absolutely nothing to do with this situation, so we hope it can be reassessed in some way because while the FA benefits from this, Atletico is harmed by it and has nothing to do with it. But the circumstances are what they are and we'll have to live... I mean, you can't moan about it. The guy did betting and betting is banned. Well, I understand why he has to kind of come out and, in a way, say that he wants to back his club and back his player, but you broke the rules, Tripp. You broke the rules, mate. So you do your ban and you deal with it. That's the situation. You can't. I don't see how any other way that can come from that. To be honest, he did the wrong thing, and you get punished for it. You can't moan about it. Thapello says, Tom, what do you think of Martinelli on the left wing and Saka on the right? I think that's what we do, isn't it? With us buying a potential young striker next season if Balogun is not given a chance, what young striker do you think we should look at? I mean, you could look at plenty of players that are... The thing about Arsenal buying a striker is that you've got Aubameyang, you've got... A lot of people are sleeping on John Jules, which they shouldn't do because he's a really highly rated young player that's on loan, so we aren't really hearing much about him in an Arsenal sense, but it'd be interesting to see him promoted into the first team squad, sell Nketiah, because I just don't see Nketiah as a long-term Arsenal guy, and go from there, to be honest. That's kind of where I see that. Don Arsenal says, Lamps is a young Bellerin. He loses his pace, and we got another Bellerin. I don't know about that. He's got a lot more developing to do. How do you know him on a trip name basis? Because, contacts, mate, contacts. Jeffrey says, how is Bellerin finished when he was one of our best players against Chelsea literally days ago? Yeah, you're spot on, mate. Would you prioritise a centre forward or a winger? I would prioritise it's a good question because you look at kind of the wingers that we've got and you go Martinelli, Saka, Nelson, who I'd arguably sell, Pepe, who is like an enigma at the club right now. He's really difficult to kind of look at Pepe, because it's such a weird case study as a player, hence why using the word enigma. And you look at what he has offered over his time at Arsenal, and you look at what he could offer in the future and think that if we play him in the right way, he could be great. He could be amazing. But he hasn't been, and we aren't playing a system that suits him. So maybe a best thing to do is to get as much money for him as you can and just admit that it was a failed project and move on. But we've invested a lot of money in Pepe, and maybe the right thing to do would be to, stick with it and trying and play to his strengths is just the way I would look at that, to be honest. But yeah, he's a complete mystery of a case for us. He really, really is. Carl says we should do everything we can to tie down Balogun, and I could not agree more. Thank you so much for listening. I'm sorry that we're going to wrap up where we are, but as I say, I've got jumping on Hugh's channel for the watch along, which means I've got like an hour now before the pre-show to get myself ready and stuff and sort everything out that I need to get sorted. So that needs to happen. Make sure you tune in tonight for the watch along on Hugh Wizzy's channel. I know that I don't need to introduce him to any of you. You all know who he is. So make sure you tune in and listen. It was really a lot of fun doing it last time. Sort of giving the analytical co-commentary is a new thing for me, and I enjoyed it. So hopefully that can see something that continues, and hopefully the luck that I brought for the Chelsea game will continue. But drop a like on the video. I really appreciate it if you could, if you've enjoyed it. Give a read of the 2 articles that I've written based upon Diego Costa and Joan Jordan, which are in the description to the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and of course, join up as a member. That's the last thing I usually say, isn't it? Yep, join up as a member. If you haven't already, the Discord will be popping off, as it always is during the games and throughout the day, talking about players, talking about Arsenal, talking about the manager, having debates with lots of level-headed people. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Your absolute pleasure, as always. Thank you for getting involved with the polls on Twitter, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Well, actually, no, I'll see you again straight after the game. What am I talking about? We'll be back here straight after the game tonight. Raw reaction show. And then tomorrow the podcast in the morning, because it's Wednesday, so I work 2 till 11 o'clock at night. So we're doing a podcast in the morning with Dan, Robert and Toby from our members. If you become a member, you get a chance to come on the show, which is quite cool. So Dan and Toby will be on tomorrow morning to do the podcast with me talking about Brighton. But join us straight here after the game for the Brighton match, and we'll talk about all that good stuff. But if you want to do the preview, we did the preview one earlier on today, so make sure you give that a watch as well. Speak to you very, very soon. Been a pleasure as always, and as always, up the Arsenal.